תודה. אני מבקש להזמין את ראש משלחת הצלב האדום לישראל, ז'אן פייר שרר. בבקשה.
Thank you and good morning. It is with great pleasure that I welcome here today on behalf of the International Committee of the Red Cross. The ICSC is privileged to have been able to cooperate with the Institute of National Security Studies in the organization of this important conference. The subject we are going to explore together, challenges of warfare in densely populated areas, is clearly one of great importance and an issue of deep concern for the ICSC. A growing number of military operations are conducted in densely populated urban areas. Such operations are particularly problematic when explosive force delivered by heavy weapons is being used and can have a devastating humanitarian consequence for civilian populations. Another key issue is the increasingly asymmetric nature of modern armed conflicts. Differences between belligerents, especially in terms of technological and military capacities, have become even more pronounced. To add to the confusion, at the same time, combatants do not always distinguish themselves from civilians, and they might mingle with the civilian population. As a result, civilians in urban areas have paid a particular high price both directly in terms of death, injury, and permanent disability caused, as well as indirectly in terms of widespread destruction of their homes, livelihoods, and infrastructure. Many civilians have, in addition, suffered less measurable but long-term psychological effects as a result of the use of explosive weapons in densely populated areas over extended period of time. This raises complex and crucial questions with regard to the conduct of hostilities. I would like to briefly mention three without going into detail, as I am sure they will be addressed by much more competent persons than myself in the presentations and discussions later on today. The first question is about whether the applicable international humanitarian law rules are sufficient to identify under which circumstances explosive force delivered by heavy weapons may be used in densely populated areas. The issue here is that international humanitarian law does not specifically prohibit the use of explosive weapons in urban environment. International humanitarian law rather relies on case-by-case assessments based on the general norms prohibiting indiscriminate and disproportionate attacks and imposing strict obligations to take all feasible precautions. These norms go a long way in balancing military consideration and humanitarian imperatives. They take military concerns into consideration when admitting that certain means or methods of combat are legitimate in some situations. But the same rules also ensure that humanitarian considerations are duly taken into account, and they do so by restricting the means and methods of warfare to which the parties to a conflict might resort. The question then is whether these general rules are precise enough to ensure that civilians are effectively protected against the effects of hostilities in urban environments, or whether there is a need for legal developments or clarification. I hope the debate will contribute to our reflection on this question. The second question has to do with indiscriminate attacks. An attack would violate the prohibition of indiscriminate attacks and be unlawful in circumstances where the weapon used could not be directed at a specific military objective or when its effects could not be limited as required by international humanitarian law, in particular when it causes incidental loss and injury of civilians, which would be excessive to the concrete and direct military advantage anticipated. In densely populated areas, there is a significant likelihood that explosive weapons with a wide impact area have indiscriminate effects. The ICSC considers that such weapons should be avoided in such environments. It is the rule rather than an exception that the harm caused to civilians is no proportion to military advantage that might be obtained through such weapons in densely populated areas. The ICSC is aware that the meaning of concepts like military advantage is sometimes subject to diverging interpretations. It is, for example, debatable to what extent the reduction of risk for an attacker's own troops can provide a legitimate advantage in the evaluation of the proportionality of an attack. While there is inevitably a certain margin of discretion in proportionality assessments, weighing military advantage and civilian loss, international humanitarian law sets limitations, which when transgressed result in violations of the law. According to the law, the advantage coming into play must be military in nature and not, for instance, political. They must be concrete and not merely hypothetical, or expected perhaps to happen sometime in the future. And they must be direct, which excludes consideration given to indirect advantages. In light of these conditions, it would be incompatible with international humanitarian law to make general assumptions to the effect that the advantage in terms of protecting troops from harm could override the obligation to protect civilian lives. I'm looking forward to the discussion on these issues, which I am sure will provide additional insight and shed light into many questions that remain. The third question I would like to mention has to do with the destruction of civilian objects as a result of a military operation. There is no doubt that civilians are protected from attacks, that civilian objects are protected from attacks, but may lose that protection when they become military objectives. Under international humanitarian law, military objectives are limited to those objects which by their nature, location, purpose, or use make an effective contribution to military action, and whose total or partial destruction, capture, or neutralization, in the circumstances ruling at the time, offers a definite military advantage. According to this definition, which reflects customary international law, there is no room for destruction of objects not meeting the conditions of a military objective. There is in particular no room for admitting that civilian objects may be destroyed on the basis of assumptions that it could somehow be justified, for example, in view of possible future operations or as a measure of punishment. A criterion solely based on such assumptions entails a risk of diluting the very principle of distinction on which all rules on the conduct of hostilities are based. Again, this is something to be further explored. The ICSC is aware that there are different understandings on this issue. I'm looking forward to the discussion on this subject. Before concluding, let me express my gratitude to the Institute of National Security Studies of Tel Aviv University for all their work in organizing this conference. My personal thanks go to Dr. Gabi Siboni, the head of the Military and Strategic Affairs Program, to the new director, General Amos Yadlin, and to all of their staff who have worked extremely hard over the last months to make this conference interesting and enjoyable for us. It has been a good experience for us to cooperate with you. I am looking forward to a productive conference and take this opportunity to thank once again the INSS for hosting and leading on this conference and for their cooperation with the ICSC to discuss this topic in Israel. Thank you.
תודה רבה.